right. We just heard Hypnotized by Will Double S right here on WCSF Joliet 88.7 FM.
How's it going, Zach?
It's going amazing, man. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Appreciate you having me on the show, on your show, Songs and Stories. I've listened in a couple times here on WCSF 88.7 FM. Gotta say, I love the music.
Thank you so much, man. I always appreciate the support, and I gotta say the same about your show, the locally sourced music show right here, 7 to 9 p.m. on Wednesdays. I've listened to it. I try to listen almost every week, and I have the playlist on Spotify, and my favorite has definitely been 1-800-SATISFY. I bump that at least 2 or 3 times a week.
Man, Naked Brunch, they're such a great band. That's honestly my favorite song by them. Little shout out to them. And shout out to the WCSF crew, everybody on the who has a show here on WCSF.
To kind of get to the meat and potatoes of what we're doing today, Will just put out his new song, Hypnotized, yesterday. And like I mentioned before we played it, he played the live version yesterday at the Dara OS concert. First of all, I just want to say stand-up job to all you guys yesterday. I really enjoyed all of the repertoire you guys had. Very nice. I liked the visuals, especially for your song. I thought I liked, it was at the Statue of David in there?
Honestly,
in one section?
It probably was. I've got to expose myself, though. I looked up Greek head or Greek mythology head, like statue head, and that's what came up as like a kind of a cartoon.
Yeah.
If those creatives out there, if you're looking for a website to use for stock free like images and everything else you can think of, definitely go to or stock free images. Definitely go to Pixabay.
I just wanted to ask. I know again. I know this is another Dara OS question, but I know you guys were filming and stuff yesterday. Is there any plans to like make that available? Like, is there any way we could see like a video of the live version or anything?
I can't confirm anything or deny, but I will say that, and this is not like me like trying to build up hype or anything. This is like I'm not entirely sure. I think so, but we also did get a lot of photos from the photographer who came out from the art department. Shout out to Ella. Very quick turnaround time. I got this stuff the same night, and it was great. So.
Shout out Ella, man. She was all over the place, dashing around. She was kneeling and squatting and kind of just getting all the good angles. She definitely has the makings of a concert photographer, and it's pretty hard job. I know a couple. You said during the concert that you made like the Dara version first, and then the studio version that we can hear on like Spotify and stuff, it's like derived from that. So we could start at the beginning. Like, what was the creative process with the song and kind of what inspired you to write the song?
Yeah, so I wrote Hypnotized around October, probably even earlier on in the semester too, because that's when we were starting to write music for OS and Dara OS. Was in October, like that first semester, like fall semester, my senior year. And I came in like a week late because I was still interning in Michigan. And I'm like, my director knew, but it was like, okay, so, is there a theme? Because sometimes there is, like, for the OS show. And he was like, oh, no, just, make a song. And I'm like, okay. With it being, like, the final and, like, a quick turnaround time to, like, start practicing and everything in rehearsals, like, a month later, I was like, okay, what am I going to use? And I decided to use some material that I recorded through Voice Memos, the legendary app for songwriters and singers and even music producers, because you can hum a tune of a melody and put it on and produce it into your DAW. And I've done that too. But this time it was a and then I'm like, hypnotized by those mythical eyes or something like that, I had a good time writing that, and I'm like, whose eyes am I really actually talking about? Like,
what I was thinking about too. I was thinking, like, is this about anyone specific, or is it just like kind of like a general statement?
I don't like saying it's a general statement, but I also don't like saying it's about anyone specific, because it's not. people have asked me, well, not necessarily that same question, but I'm like, it's like, no, it was written for Dara OS and the Hypnotized by Those Mythical Eyes. I'm like, kind of just like, honestly, it was kind of a general statement because, like, obviously, like, I've been stopped in my tracks. It doesn't have to be eyes, but I've been stopped in my tracks, captivated by beauty. And then somehow along the way, during the songwriting process, I decided to change that and make it about Medusa, which, she can turn you into stone. And people may think like, oh, it's a negative, like it's a bad thing that you got turned into stone. Well, obviously in Greek mythology it is. To even get more generic and like more broad, you can, kind of consider it being either bad or good, depending on the situation that you interpret the lyrics. That's what I really love about songwriting. Like people can interpret something completely different than what the main, story was about that the songwriter wrote about. And so it could be, oh, good, I got stopped in my tracks and I saw this beautiful person like just standing there, and I'm like, you could be like, oh man, hypnotized, I'm stopped in my tracks. Or it could be like, oh, I got hypnotized, I guess, a little manipulated. But that's not the case. I kind of tried to write it very broad because I really had no, I was really just trying to write a catchy song for the OS concert. And I wrote this in October. I finished it in October. So I can see the confusion whenever it's like, oh, I'm releasing it now after, I don't know, like 4 months or whatever, probably longer. I'm not going to count, but like 4 to 5, 6 to 7 months. But Hypnotized, it can be interpreted in many different ways. And the way I decided to write it was kind of have it be about Medusa, but make the lyrics more generic so people could engage with it if they didn't, find an interest in Medusa herself.
I feel like it was definitely, I just feel like it was more like a positive song. To me, I just, hearing it for the first time, Hypnotized by Those Mythical Eyes, she'll turn you to stone, that made me think, that made me think of like a specific experience, honestly, that kind of happened recently. Like that happened to me. I kind of just like, I was talking with someone and I kind of just like froze up. So I can relate to that. Like, and I see it positively, but I can also see how it can be interpreted negatively. Like, you don't want to get turned to stone. Like, maybe you're getting like, this is kind of like a goofy word, but like seduced in a way. Like you're kind of like you're getting frozen, man.
Exactly.
But it's such a neutral statement though with the song. You can interpret it in many ways, and like I interpreted it using my personal experiences, and you talked about how you kind of wrote it. Not with you had something in mind, writing it for the OS concert, but it wasn't about like a specific person or anything. It was just like talking about Medusa and how you were inspired by how you like mythology as a kid. And I can relate to that as too. I liked reading the tales from the Odyssey when I was younger as well. I think we talked about that at some point.
I think we did, yeah. And talking about the Odyssey, little like side route, little tangent like that. I'm excited for that movie. That's gonna be a great movie, directed by Christopher Nolan.
They're making a movie?
Yeah, the Odyssey. Yeah, like I take inspiration from movies.
Yeah. Quick question: have you ever written a song inspired by Karate Kid? I know you love Karate Kid, so I have to ask.
I honestly, I have not yet. I have not yet released anything. Well, publicly released anything. We're not gonna get into it. It was kind of cringy.
Not today.
Not today. Yeah. I briefly wrote down some lyrics, like a couple, probably earlier in the semester. In my notebook that I have, this little notebook that I have for like various like short story things, you utilized it for my creative writing class. But I wrote these lyrics down. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but it was kind of like me trying to write a song about like cutting a bonsai tree, which is prominent in the Karate Kid films and the Miyagi-verse in general. That could be out soon. It could be out later. Who knows? But this summer, I'm definitely going to do more writing.
I'm excited to hear about that. That's gonna be good. I'm excited.
Thank you.
Just speaking of like writing and sort of, I know we talked about like the lyrical content, what the inspiration was behind. I know you told me this was inspired by like '80s pop music and stuff. What bands were you inspired by with the sound? Because I know there's like a synth in the background the whole time. And
Yeah.
me personally, it kind of reminded me of the song "Forever Young." Kind of like the intro a little bit. That's just how I interpreted it.
Mm-hmm.
But what were you inspired by, like the music wise, like the sound?
Yeah, it was a big, like, 80s inspired production. You hear the saxophone, and that was actually added in the studio version. Shout out to my boy Lucas Wessel, who I engineered the song with. He was my recording engineer, and he and I were both the mixing and mastering engineers on it. And he recorded some saxophone on it. So shout out to Lucas Wessel, my guy. A couple of the other songs that I have, rolling out over the summer also are engineered with him. So that's going to be great. A great song, or a great couple songs and productions. But with Hypnotized specifically, it was definitely like some of the bands I kind of had a vibe with were the Cars and like the Cars with Magic and just what's it called? Just What I Needed. That's it. And it was actually one of my mom's favorite songs, or favorite bands.
I showed it to some buddies of mine the other day, yesterday after the concert, and he was like, "Yeah, I can kind of see like some Depeche Mode a little bit, like some Violator."
Depeche Mode, definitely.
And I personally heard "The Working Hour" by Tears for Fears. There's a lot of sax in that from songs from the Big Chair. That's kind of what I was thinking of, was the Depeche Mode, Tears for Fears, and the Cars, and "Forever Young" by Alphaville, Napoleon Dynamite. So
Yeah.
it's like just it reminds me of that time period, and I'm not from that time period, obviously, but it kind of transports me back. And shout out to Lucas for that saxophone, because I really think that was like the icing on the cake. I really like the live version, but I prefer the studio version just because of that saxophone, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tears for Fears, I can definitely see that vision with the instrumental and how like all the vocals were engineered and mixed, like the overall production mix master. I definitely did try to add a modern, sound to the overall production just to keep it trendy with or keep it like aligned with like the modern trends of mixing and mastering today. But overall, it ultimately is derived back to that 80s inspiration.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, and I just want to ask too. You did allude to releasing some new stuff over the summer.
Yeah.
Is Hypnotized sort of like the start of something bigger, or is it like more of like a standalone release? If you're allowed to comment on that.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I'll say this. So I've been, debating on if, hey, do I want to release an album or a single? But for now, I think if I do release an album, it won't be immediately after I finish it. If I do, it'll be like, consistent single releases, and maybe down the line, have it all be, wrapped into one album. But I guess you can think of it as phases. All these singles are gonna have, are gonna, I don't want to say linked and connected in one way, because they're probably not, but they're all like the same kind of vibe, I would say. And I'm going to try and switch up the vibe, but overall, they're all going to be like kind of in one project, even if I stick with just doing singles. Because, I'm trying to, boost engagement, gain an audience. So singles releasing consistently is a great way to like do that with music marketing. So I'm gonna stick with singles for now, but not saying I don't have a vision for an album, because I already have like, what the album title would be. I'm not going to tease it. I'm not going to say it, because I will tease this, that probably it's going to be the next single that I release if I did release another album, that would be the song title. because it's just so peculiar. I should say peculiar.
Man, I'm gonna have to stay tuned then. We're gonna have to keep in contact because we'll have to come and we'll talk about the next one. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I mean, is it gonna be when I know you said you don't want to like definitively say they're all kind of connected, but is there gonna be like more Greek mythology or anything? Like, it's I guess the way I guess what I can ask is, are they gonna be connected through lyrics or through sound?
I think they're going to be more connected through sound. And lyric wise, if they're connected, it might be like, oh, I'm writing about an object or something, or a character or whatever, or like a story or something.
Kind of like a concept album.
Not necessarily a concept album, but like just if I'm writing something, I might be writing about a certain like object, like kind of like how I'm writing about Medusa or
Yeah.
like, but it would be like, oh, I'm writing about, I guess, like the bonsai type of deal that I mentioned earlier. So, but to answer your question, like simply, like definitely, it would be more connected through sound. The same kind of like style, little bit of a variety, but definitely, and maybe a very contrasting variety. But I'm excited to work on these ideas I have.
I'm excited to see how it goes, and I know some way it'll all come together.
Yeah.
I trust you, and I know you've got so much music already, and it all meshes really well together. We have Hypnotized, but then we have your previous work like Tears and Burgundy Ford Mustang and Serenade. So it's like, how different is it from that? Is this kind of like a new era almost, or are you like returning to your roots a little bit? I'm a little curious.
As it being a new era, I'm probably gonna try and like mesh these different sounds together. Serenade featuring Mon, that was like a very very contrasting single from the album Suspicious Minds, which Tears and Burgundy Ford Mustang were featured on. And I'm probably gonna end up having some similar sounds to stuff from Suspicious Minds. I kind of want to try more stuff that sounds similar to like Suspicious Minds, Love Blind, at least like that ending kind of more of a modern feel. But who knows, man? There's a couple of the songs I've been writing. I can envision a different sound for each like song. So
Yeah. Do you write? Because I'm not a songwriter, so I just like. Do you write the lyrics first, or do you play the music and you're like, man, like I could set some lyrics to this, or are you more like, I got this idea for a song, and then let's find a way to express it through the music?
I think it's a little bit of both. Like I try to, like sometimes I start with the instrumental, but sometimes I start with lyrics, and sometimes lately it's been like I write like get a tune, get a melody in my head for some like lyrics for this upcoming one, or even for Hypnotized. Like I came up with that melody and then I added lyrics to it, like after the fact, and then I went from there, like wrote the chord structure out. After I wrote the chorus, stuff like that. For this next one, I think I actually started with lyrics first and then went in to write the chords based off those lyrics. I kind of started this progression. I don't have any lyrics for it yet, but I just was playing something on the piano. And if you know my older music, 10 times better left unsaid. It started with a piano improvisation in B flat major. And it turned out to be a really well composed like form and arrangement, of a song, of a production too, both performance, like live performance wise and production wise, like studio wise. With that progression I just started, it might turn out something like Better Left Unsaid. Probably a different vibe, but like that kind of same quality, I guess, because the way it's being written.
All right, that sounds good.
But I got a lot of different things in the works, and Hypnotized is just the start. So follow me on Instagram at will_s_music for more info.
Is it gonna be on the locally sourced playlist Are you
Yeah.
gonna put the song on there?
It's on there right now. I need to post about it though.
Perfect. I have one question. I have one more question
Yeah.
for today. But before I ask you that question, is there anything else you want to like talk about? You want anything you want to plug?
Hypnotized. It's out now, all streaming platforms. I performed it live yesterday for the first time, and it was really great. Such a great time, such a great performance in the Dara OS ensemble. My last year here in the ensemble, so it was such a great time. The finale, I guess, of Dara OS for me. It's weird to say, but it went out with a really great performance. It was a great time.
I think so too. I mean, I've seen Dara OS 3 times because you guys came to my school at Joliet West. You guys came to Joliet West, and it was really fun. And I would definitely say that. Well, okay, this one was better. The one I went to yesterday, but man, at the one I saw my junior year of high school, one of the guys did like a Naruto song. That was pretty cool.
Yes.
I gotta admit, that was fire, man. My last question for today, I know you did the Dara OS yesterday. Are there gonna do you have any more like live events scheduled? Are you doing any concerts or anything? Because I always try and get out to the local shows. So I just wanted to. I didn't know if you were performing or anything anytime soon. So I just wanted to ask.
I don't have anything confirmed yet, but I'm definitely looking around and looking to see where I could book. I'm definitely been learning about the different venues around, and I'll continue that and book something, maybe like an open mic night or something like that. But definitely in May, I'm hoping I can book at least one show. So, but we'll see. I'm more in trying to invest in creation still.
Yeah.
Before I creating new songs, before I do a lot of live stuff. But maybe here and there, maybe an open mic night. I don't know. We'll see.
Will, thanks for coming on today, man. It was really nice to talk to you about Hypnotized and about, honestly, just your journey and talking to you about how to make music. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making Hypnotized, dude. It is, I know I'm kind of just keep saying this, but really great song. I really enjoyed it. It's probably my favorite song from you. Burgundy Ford Mustang is a close second, but just really good song. Really happy you were here, man.
Dude, thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on and just having me be able to talk about Hypnotized. I've released a lot of songs, and I feel like this week has been my favorite release week out of all my releases. Because there's so much stuff going on, being involved. That's another thing. I'm going to be on Prison City Plates, their next video that's coming soon. It's going to be at the Uni Uni bubble tea place. So I reviewed there. So you can find updates on my Instagram page at will_s_music.
Hypnotized by the